Okay, subtle ways of taking control. If you've ever been around a narcissist, they will try every little way they can to take control, and you might not even see it. I'm going to give you some of the ways that they do it that you might not notice, but once I point this out, you may notice this. So a direct way of taking control that most people notice is when they tell you, quiet, quiet, and then they take over the conversation, they start to talk. But a less known way, or a more subtle way that they do this, is they will do this thing where they just walk away from you and you're left like talking to nobody, and then they might stop back, or they start picking at their hand or something. They start distracting, like creating a distraction, and then that interrupts you, and then you're like, why are you, then they get back in control. I've had it where I've met somebody at a coffee shop, and then I go to use the bathroom. Hey, I'll be right back. I come back and they're gone. And I'm like, okay, that was weird. And then it turns out they went next door to get something, and then I didn't know it. I didn't know if they were gone or completely gone, and I get a phone call like, hey, I'm next door or whatever. But it was like 10 minutes later. But then they get to establish the control. You are waiting on them, and they are not waiting, and they want you to be waiting on them. It's almost called posturing. Because if I'm waiting on the narcissist, then the narcissist gets to pull the strings and say, okay, I want to talk to you now. Or they get to say, okay, I'll sit down with you now. So it's very subtle, but you'll notice it. And the other thing too is if you're very calm about it, like it doesn't rile you up, that you just kind of like get on your phone or whatever when you're waiting for them and not worry so much about the time. It almost disappoints them because they want to see you weak. They want to see you emote. They want to see you react. Hey man, I thought you were, where'd you go, man? I was waiting for you here, and and so they want that upper hand. And the upper hand, why do they want it? They want to be in control. They want to have the power. Why do they want that? That's how they are. That's their nature. They always have to have the upper hand on you. So if they feel like you have the upper hand on them, they have to bring it back so that you depend on them. Even though they probably depend on you more, they have to make it, the illusion is, the false self is that you depend on them and they're the experts. They're God. Some of the other things that they might do, the interruptions, just not showing up. If you say something like, hey, we need to have a meeting between us. We need to sit down and go over some stuff. And they'll agree to it. Sure. But then they either won't show up or they'll show up late. See, they want that reaction from you. Once they got that reaction that you're frustrated, then they'll say, hey, just calm down. I'll sit down with you. Oh, come, hey, I'm just on my way over. There's always an excuse, right? And that's the thing. They plan their excuses out probably months in advance. And then they get used to using excuses. Then they're like an excuse machine. But their excuses a lot of times don't sound like excuses. They make them sound so normal. So, hey, everybody has issues. I had car trouble. So they're like an excuse factory. And since they use their excuses over and over again, they become part of their vernacular, part of their everyday language. And so when somebody talks in their everyday language, you don't really pick up on that. They don't hesitate when they lie. They don't pause. They don't have any of a lot of the things that you could tell if somebody's lying, because that's them, that's part of them, that's how they work, that's their DNA. Remember, they're not a real being. They're essentially a chameleon, taking in all the colors around them and coming up with that color in that environment for that particular time in that moment. And they will adapt to that moment and get with it what they want. And what do they want? They always want supply. What is supply? Supply is sex, money, admiration, adulation, anything that they don't get that most people do get. They want that. They want to be in power. They want to be in charge. They want to be in control. So going back to the interruptions, they'll start the word salad. And the word salad sometimes starts because they're going to say things to you to confuse you on purpose. That's called so-called gaslighting. But they always have a hidden agenda. I did another video on this. There's the hidden agenda, and then there's the agenda that's presented to you. And they're two different things. Nobody, not even the new target, the new supply, nobody knows the hidden agenda. Okay? They just know the false agenda, the agenda that's presented to them as being real. So you're never going to find that out. You're never going to have a heart-to-heart with a narcissist, because they're going to say things for the effect. If you're upset, they're going to say things. If they want to keep you as supply, they're going to say things so that you don't go away. But they want to say things enough so that you're still upset, so that they get the emotional reaction out of you, but not to the degree that you cut off contact with them. See, when you go no contact with a narcissist, it really throws off their game. They don't know what to do because they don't have the control over you anymore. So keep that in mind. If you really want to be free, if you really want to show them who's in charge, which you should be in charge of yourself, just go no contact with them. And I tell this to people. I say, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them an explanation. You really don't. You don't owe anybody any explanations for anything. We have this in our head that if we don't tell somebody, or we're not proper, or we're not we don't do something, that people are going to abandon us. And what you'll find is that if you just stop giving problematic people what they want, which is your need for approval, so you'll do anything for them. If you stop giving that to them, those people will abandon you. They will go away for a little bit. Narcissists will come back around, but they will go away, and that's a good thing. It's good to have some people abandon you. I've learned that. I lost so many what I call friends, people that just dropped out of my social circle. And then the ones that stayed, I actually am happier now because I have a higher quality of friend. I have somebody that really is more empathetic, more like me, somebody that really does, for the most part, care about me. So the friends that I lost, I don't know if I even lost them as friends. It's just that we don't have the constant communication. I'm still friends with a lot of people on Facebook, but I don't have the friendship anymore. And of course, those were the narcs friends. So, and I know I'm getting smeared. I'm used to it though, okay? But it's funny because the narc loses that. The smear can only last as long as the narc has material. So if you don't talk to your narc for 2 years, if they keep smearing you to their friends, the friends will, those people will be like, dude, get over her, get over him. He's gone, why are you still bringing him up? But if you're in constant contact with them, if you still have contact, they can take that 1 minute conversation that you had and turn it into material for the next 6 months, for the next year. So that's why it's so critical too. Now, you're going to get smeared, okay? If you're with a narcissist and you're discarding, or they're discarding you, you're going to get smeared. And a lot of times, if you've already been discarded, you are getting smeared right now, probably at this moment. But realize that if they don't have any material to talk about you, if they haven't talked to you in 6 months, their smear campaign is not very effective. And people start seeing through them. But the main thing I wanted to address today was the lies, that they're always lying. They're always presenting that illusion, that false self. And some people are like, well, when they're with the new supply, when they're with the new girl, they look like they're really happy. You know what? They actually are. Okay. I know some people will say, well, they're not, but deep down you don't know what's really going on. Well, for the most part, they are really happy because they go through a cycle with everybody. They go through the love bombing, and then the devaluation phase, and then they go through the discard phase. But when they're in the love bombing, the narcissists, they have split thinking, so it's black or white, good or bad. So they think the target is all good. They actually put the target on a pedestal. And they really feel like this target's going to solve all their problems, but they're also sucking the target in. The target feels like they've met their soulmate. And then when they get that commitment, that's when they lock down. That's when the mask slips. When after they've gotten some type of commitment, somebody moves in, they buy a car together, they buy a home together, or they get married, get engaged. Some big commitment the narc needs before that mask slips, because the narc is working really hard at this point to really be the person that the target wants, right? The goal in mind is to have a steady form of supply, and they get that through a good source of supply. Somebody that they target, that they've tested things with. They test, what you can do. Someone that shares a lot of information, and somebody that makes them look good, or somebody that has money or something. So I just wanted to put that out there, that there's just so many things going through my head right now about these people. Not a big aha moment today, maybe for some of you, but I just, I don't think it can be said over and over enough again that the narc always has to be in control. The weird things they do, the things you don't understand, are things where they are setting themselves up to take power and control back away from you. And it's not something they learned last week, not something they learned last year. It's something that they've learned at a very early age. And they're very, very good at it. Now, what you can do is spot it, but for you to try to compete with that, when you try to take power back from them, it becomes a game. For me, on my ex, whenever, she always had to have the last text, okay? I don't know if you've had that, where they text you something and you text back, and if it's something with regards to like blame or right or wrong or whatever, always have to have the last one. They always have to have the last one. They have to be in control, right? They can't leave something hanging out there. They've got to put a cover on it. They've got to put their illusion on it. They got to wrap it in their illusion. If something is left undone, the narcissist has to come along and wrap their illusion around it. So when they're away, somebody said their narc was in the hospital for a week, and she said he was very nice to her on the phone, like almost human-like. And I said that it's probably because he knows that she's feeling the freedom without him being there, and he's got to be sweet to her in order to keep her connected to him, because he doesn't have a lot of power. He's using the sweetness now, not the mean cycle, the sweetness, the love bombing. It's like a little mini love bombing thing, because chances are he probably sensed that she was happy, and he can either play along with that happiness, or he can try to ruin her happiness so that he takes control back. But if he's in a hospital, if he's talking to her on the phone, he doesn't have that one-to-one. He can't sit in front of her and do more things and have more control of his environment. So chances are he's using the sweet cycle to try to keep her placated, keep her happy, like play along with her happiness, like he's responsible for it. Oh yeah, they like to think that your happiness or your sadness is dependent on them. That they are God, that they are the ones that make you happy or sad. So the illusion is, when they're away from you, they have to make you think that you really miss them, because they really think that you like are pining for them, that you just, oh, I just got to have him, I just got to have that person. But and they set it up to a degree. So and when the expectations are like that, of course, a lot of times it comes off like that. They do that well. Yes, also yes. Yeah, narcissist loves a stage. You know, they like to make sure that when they do make that image, because it's all about image, it's all about perceptions. They're masters at perception. They're masters at taking something that is this big and making it look this big. They magnify things. You can take a magnifying glass, I could put it up here, and I can magnify something and make it look totally huge. And then this big old pile of dung right here, I could put a blanket over it that's the color of my seat, that's gray, and you'd never know it because it's gray, it blends in the background. That's what they're masters of doing. Masters of perception, taking the truth. There's a big pile of dung here, I put a cover over it, it's gray, it's the color of my seat. What's that smell? I don't know, I don't smell anything. They're masters at that. So that's why you just got to be away from these people, because you could do the most innocent thing, and if they have an agenda in mind, if their hidden agenda is going to try to make you look bad, they will take every little piece of material they have about you, everything you've said. And that's the thing, anything you say can and will be used against you. They need to take every little thing that you've said and find some way to wrap that illusion blanket around it, bring that part out. I'm just going to think of something off the top of my head here. I'm going to think of something. So say you're walking along with the narc and you're not even really talking, and then you trip, you stub your toe, and you go, oh, F, fudge, okay, except you say something else. The conversation that the narc's going to have, maybe with his girlfriend, is he can say, yeah, I don't know what's going on with my wife. She's like, we were walking yesterday, and she's saying she's dropping F-bombs, and I don't know what's going on with her. So they can smear you, and I learned this yesterday. I kind of knew this, but I learned to assign a term to it, to label it. For smear campaigns, there's the indirect smear campaign and there's a direct smear campaign. The indirect smear campaign is where you say just enough of the facts to let people start to assume things on their own. Like in the example I just gave, yeah, she's just dropping the F-bombs, man. I don't know what's going on. So you think, oh, wow, she must be mad at him. Well, no, she stubbed her toe and, masters of illusion. So my question is, do you really want to go back to somebody like that that's going to twist things around? Now, I will tell you this. They're masters at twisting things around to your benefit, too. Well, how does that work? Well, to your benefit. During the love bombing, they say the most flattering things. Your hair reminds me, your hair is like, the smell of your hair is just, it's like music to me. It's, look, they memorize all the things from the movies, okay? The Hollywood stuff, that's Hollywood love, okay? That's what a narc will give you, is Hollywood love. So they're going to say the most wonderful, incredible things, right? Things that you would remember. Poetry just dripping and oozing all this empathy, because they have to say it. They have to say something to convince you, because they don't have the real empathy. But they're going to say all that stuff, right? And you're going to remember that because you want to believe it. Maybe you're starved for love. Your love bucket's empty. And you're just, and it's music to your ears. And because of the future faking, you're ignoring all the other signs, like, he doesn't even have a job or whatever, in a car, but it doesn't matter. It's all this, and it's romantic and everything. So you're listening to those words, and those words are swirling around in your head, and you feel like, oh my gosh, this is intoxicating. I just feel so good around him, and yada yada. In a normal relationship, yeah, you're going to have that honeymoon period, but the person's not going to say as many flattering things. Instead, they're going to do more actions. And those don't seem very exciting. And maybe the person does those actions and the other person doesn't pick up on it because they're used to words too, right? So a narc figures out what the target likes, the likes and dislikes. So they're really good at that. They're really good at listening to you. They're really good at listening to you in that first love bombing period when they first get to know you. They are the best listeners, right? And they're listening intently to you because they're trying to figure out where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are, what is it that you like, what is it that you don't like. And the things that you don't like, those will be put in a special file, easily accessed, priority file, where they can bring out things that you're afraid of, things that you're vulnerable about. Maybe you're really vulnerable about your weight. Maybe you've got a freckle on your chin or something that really, they will make sure to make a special note of that and bring it out when they need to make you feel, because remember, they can't feel. They need to make you feel really shameful about yourself in order to get control back. So, just a little talk about narc talk today. It's Monday, it's raining in Dallas, but like I said earlier, it's beautiful because I don't have the narcissist to deal with. Guys, do you know how good it felt to move out of my house? This nice house I had with this person. I moved out, and my first night I could just sleep, and I woke up, and it was like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, because I got into a pattern where I would like wake up every morning and wonder what she was going to do. You know, how am I today, right? That's kind of how codependents get. That, you know, somebody asks us how we feel. I don't know. How do I feel? Let me go sample around the room and see what everybody else thinks of me, and then I'll tell you how I feel about me. And when I didn't have to do that, when it was just me, oh my God, it was the most peaceful thing. I slept for probably 3 days. I mean, just like, I could just do anything I wanted, and it's just, and when I was with my kids, I didn't have somebody constantly interrupting an interaction with my daughter. You know, an intimate moment with my daughter where we're talking about something and she's starting to giggle and I'm talking, and then the narc would come up and, you know, hey, give me your glass, you know, give me your cup, you know, I'm putting stuff in the dishwasher. It's like, really? Really, you have to interrupt that? That control, they got to have that control. So that's what the other thing from earlier is, they interrupt you when you're having intimate moments with other people because they're not the center of attention. And they don't understand anyways. When you get all, they think, oh, you're manipulating your daughter and your daughter's the manipulator. No, there's something real. And they don't understand that. And when they see that, it freaks them out because they know that they don't have that. And it freaks them out. And they're like, I got to put an end to this. You know, I got to stop this. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, it's, man. And now, see, now the cat's out of the bag, right? You'll start to notice all this stuff because you're getting educated on it. And it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, as they say, right? Because once you know the magician's secret, it's hard to kind of see it how they want you to see it. I know you saw the woman in half, but she's like bent over, like, you know, she squats. She's like, her legs are full of, you know, like, you know the trick. When you know the trick, it doesn't really do much for you anymore. It's like, it's a trick. And that's what I'm telling you, is that the words they say to you, they're like a magic trick. They're like a magic trick that is an ongoing, adaptive, verbal magic trick. It's a dynamic, constantly evolving magic trick. And the final act is when they disappear. But part of when they disappear is meant to shock the audience, you, and it's meant to shock the audience again when they come back, because the audience wants more magic, right? But the thing is, if you see how the magic trick is done, if you see all the parts, if you see all the mechanisms behind the curtain where they're, you know, there's a thing that they press with their foot and the pedal goes up and it makes this thing and it makes the smoke come out. When you know all the tricks, when you know the mechanics of what they're doing, it loses its luster, it loses the magic. But here's the other thing, it's kind of sad, it kind of hurts. It hurt me, okay? I'm telling you how I felt. If the narcissist is lying all the time, then is the stuff that they said about me, is that a lie too? Right? Is that, she said I was so smart and so handsome, and is that a lie too? I don't know. But I know it's all about them. That's one thing I know for sure. It's all about them. They say things to get you to do a certain thing. They want to control you like puppets. Do this and that. Because if they feel out of control, it's like it'd be like you being kidnapped, somebody putting a bag over your head and drugging you so you're asleep, and then you wake up and the bag's still over your head, and where you were in a 60-degree room, now you're in when you were kidnapped, now you're in a 100-degree room, and this bag's over your head, and you just feel you're flailing. You can't catch your breath. It's like, what's going on? You don't know what's going on. That's how they feel when they don't have control, okay? When you or I don't have control, we just back away because we are in control of ourselves, because we have a real self. We're in touch with who we really are. When they do that, they flail. They really come out of their shoes. I mean, they really don't. They really feel this emptiness, and they can't have that, so they avoid it. They know what that feels like, so they avoid it at all costs. That's why they fight to the death almost on winning an argument, even the smallest thing, because if that affects that illusion that they're putting up, if they can't trick you, if you don't believe that, if you see the magic act, they've got to bring you back to where it's magic again. I really am magic. Okay, that wasn't magic, but this is magic. This is really me, It's all constant lie after lie, and the big, it's so... And then there's the hidden agenda, which I mentioned earlier. So you know the answer, right? No contact. But you don't understand. I live with him. Okay? You realize that the information that you're learning, if you go back and tell the narc this, or you even let them know, they'll sense a difference in you. They'll sense a big difference. They'll be like, and they'll try to get control back from you. You realize that when you learn this information on this page, in YouTube videos, the abuse will ramp up, okay? If you don't change anything else except your learning, and then your learning makes you think, and then your thinking makes you think, well, I'm not going to let him tell me what to do. You say that to yourself, right? And that attitude will carry over into the narc. The narc will sense that, and they'll try to take control back. That's all they're doing, establishing control. So if you still live with them, what you need to do is this. You need to pretend you didn't hear any of this stuff. You know nothing, right? Now, I say this with an end goal in mind, in like maybe you've got a 3-month lease, or maybe you know for sure they're going to get out in 2 months. You always want to have a plan to get away from the narc, and you always want to have a plan B. Always have a witness. A witness can be a tape recorder or a phone to record. But one thing that's going to happen is if you know more and you express more, they're going to sense that. So you got to play possum. You got to play like you don't know anything. You got to play dead. And this is where they're kind of suckers for. Now, if you start complimenting them and telling them how great they are, you or I would go, God, that's really flattery bull crap, right? They don't sense that as much. They think that you're finally seeing the truth, right? Just like you and I would be like if the narc came to us and went, I've really been a schmuck lately, and I don't have feelings, and I'm trying to figure it out or whatever. We'd be like, wow, finally they see the truth. Well, if we go to the narc and we say, that what you just did last night, that was incredible. You are really, I'm so proud. You are so good at what you do, and you are the sexiest guy. If we say that, if somebody says that to us, we think it's bullcrap. But if we say it to the narc, you know what the narc's thinking? They're thinking, finally she sees the truth, right? Finally you see it. It's so funny because we think, who would like take those compliments as real? Because we're empathetic, we feel it. We know when we tend to know when somebody, when we're not emotionally involved with somebody, so that's where with the narc, where our emotions are wrapped up. So we tend to not see things and sense things. It overrides our gut. But when we're around somebody like at a JCPenney store and a TV salesman comes over to us and he's being like, folks, I really like dealing with customers like you, and you're like, you don't even know us, buddy. This is flattery, blah, blah, blah. If a narc is there and the narc says, hey, buddy, I really like dealing with customers like you. Yeah, of course, I know, I'm the guy, right? The narcs are, that's one of the little chinks, right? Is that they really believe any of the compliments that you give them. It could be the most ridiculous compliment, but they will shape it in their mind to where, oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that I should have been the first man on the moon. She just told me that. I should be the first man on the moon. So because that fits into their model. What doesn't fit is feelings, talking about feelings. But something that if you talk about them and it's all about them, they get it. So when you learn stuff, they're going to see that unless you have to pretend like this never happened. Do this until you have a plan, and have a plan to leave the narc, and then always have a plan B. And the more you can surprise them, the better. If you surprise them like everything's fine, and then bam, you discard them, you'll be more likely to have them not hoover again, because they will have enough narcissistic injury. Now, I say that with a caveat. If your narc is violent, don't listen to what I'm saying. You have to have a plan with maybe getting away, like a hideout, a DV shelter or something, okay? So this is only for people that aren't violent. But so to get away, you have to still compliment the narc, let them know that don't call them a narcissist. They won't understand this. This is foreign to them. You just have to pretend, right? Gee, I wonder who else pretends. Oh, your partner. Yeah, they pretend too. So you just be pretending with them, right? You're playing pretend like you really admire them, okay? So I would say this. The more that you learn about narcissism and the more you see it, the more you need to pretend. The more you need to be like, you're just so into your narc. Like, oh, you want to do three-ways? Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to, but, blah, blah, blah. But you're just so handsome. I mean, we got to share you with the world, right? So, I don't know why I said three-ways. I think a three-way light bulb. Okay. Light bulb moment. Three-way light bulb. No, so just know that they just don't see things like you or I do, and that's okay. That's okay. There's a lot of other people that aren't problematic. One thing that happened, what I was surprised after all this happened, I tell people this too, is that my relationships with men of my gender, friendships, right? Not intimate, not like a partner, but friendships with other people, even with other women, have become a lot more intimate. They become a lot more real because I can have real relationships now, but the narc hasn't stolen all that away from me, I'm learning that I'm not such a bad person, right? So a lot of people think, well, I'm never going to be able to attract anybody again. Well, what'll happen is, at least for me, what happened is I didn't go to another girlfriend right away, or a wife. I've been married for quite a while. But what happened was I started connecting with all the people around me little by little, and I was selecting the people around me, and I was connecting with them, and we were having real good conversations. We had a topic about divorce, which definitely helps. But even the topics, it wasn't about that. It was like, when you meet new friends, the cool thing is they don't know your history. They don't know all about your ex, or when you were depressed 3 months ago, and they're not part of the smear campaign, because if you meet new friends and they're not part of the whole clique you were in, you escape the smear campaign and you get to meet new friends. You know, because the narc will smear you. That's just what they do. And they've already probably pre-smeared you. They've already prepped them up, right? They've already prepped all the people around you, the mutual friends that you have. So that's okay. Let those people go do those things. There's 6 billion people on this planet. You don't need those 20, okay? I'm telling you, you don't need those 20. And the narc, people will figure the narc out after a while. Especially the people, the new supply. The new supply will get theirs, you know, they'll figure it out after 3 or 4 months, usually. They'll be like, oh yeah, this isn't good. But a lot of them might not realize that there's material out here like this page and YouTube and all this material. They might not realize that there's a whole process that the narcs do. It's just, and it's not them, right? Remember when you thought it was you? Yeah, it was all me. No. We're told that over and over again. Okay, it's all me. Yes, it's all me. Yes, it's all me. And we begin to believe it. And then you ever had your narc do this where they're just angry, and me being a people pleaser, I would say, well, why are you so angry? I don't know. You're just like doing, you know, you're doing that again. I'm like, well, what am I doing? You're just like, you're not like thinking ahead or whatever. It's like, okay, well, if I think more ahead, like I would point out everything that I was doing wrong. Like, did I not pick up the dog crap today in the yard? I think I did this morning, but I didn't, like at noon. Is that okay? You know, I would just, like, I would give her all the things I was doing wrong. Think about this. You're a narc. You need to find things that your partner is insecure about. So you play hard to get, like hard to please. So I'm a narc. I'm going to play the hard to please game. I'm just upset. Well, why are you so upset? You're just not doing what you said you would. Well, what did I not do? Did I not do this? There's one thing. Did I not do this? There's 2 things. Did I not do this? No, it's something else. I can't put my finger on it. Did I not do this? There's 4 things. Did I not do this? There's 5. They have 5 things that they can use against you now for next time to abuse you. You see how that works? And then they're like, oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 more things on you that you're insecure about. That if I just bring them up, I got a little bit of control over that. Now, how could you avoid that? How could you avoid that? I'll show you. Here's how you avoid it. Ready? Bye. Okay, you get my point, right? I just left. I ghosted. That's my point. I'm not driving 60, so I'm not like rolling on. No, I just left my truck, just so you guys could see that. You guys gonna chat with me and argue with me if I'm not even in the truck? Probably not, right? They have ways of extracting information out of us without us even knowing it. They're good at it. That's what they do. They're good at it. When you're not thinking about how to help somebody out or what that other person's feeling, when you don't even have feelings, you have all that room that you would have for feelings, the narc doesn't have. So just slide that over there. So now you got all this empty space. Let's fill it up with testing and seeing if they'll do this. And if I pull this string, this happens. If I tell them they're weak here, what do they do? That's what they do. They fill it up with information. They do the head stuff. It's all in the head. The heart is disconnected. They don't have their heart and their head are 2 different things. Their little heart's like just tiny, okay? And you got a big heart. And they want some of that. They want some of that. So the more you put out with your heart, and I don't feel this or feel that, they get it. It's their supply. So, anyways, that's all I got. Not much happier. All right, bye guys. Love you.